The Burnt Peanut, probably one of the biggest explosions we've ever seen in the streaming space, going from relatively unknown to like 200k plus viewers consistently. And no, it's not from viewbotting like some will say. And in this case, I actually watched The Burnt Peanut for multiple weeks in a row, and that's when his rise to fame made complete sense to me, because I identified 7 key variables that he does that made him such a viral sensation. So let's go over all of that. Number 1, the most obvious, he's a VTuber. Very unordinary in the streaming space. Well, it's not that unordinary in the streaming space, but it's unordinary for a huge viral streamer to be a VTuber, apart from like Iron Mouse. Let me be clear though, being a VTuber obviously is not enough on itself. There's thousands of VTubers with like 2 viewers, and you know, one of them is themselves and the other's Nightbot. But I do think that the VTuber community is only gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, especially with the improvement of technology. As that technology gets better.
This is me. And this, of course, is not me.
I think it's going to become much more prevalent, much more mainstream, because I do think it actually does provide a few benefits. It has some drawbacks as well, but I think one of the main benefits is that it allows people to be more like comfortable with themselves and, you know, live streaming and be more silly. I've live streamed myself personally with face cam and without face cam, and without face cam, you know, you can just kind of be more eccentric without feeling weird about it, you know, because you're not like being stared at by a bunch of people. So that just makes sense. I also think it allows people who might otherwise be kind of cooked by the fact that, you know, they may not be very easy on the eyes in real life. So it kind of gives them an outlet, gives them a chance, I guess I would say. Although I don't think that's really the case here for Peanut, but it does give that option, right? But I did hear that the Burnt Peanut actually streamed for multiple years with a face cam, just like a normal person, just like everyone else. And he didn't really see much success, which makes this rebrand really, really smart. Thank God he did this. Now, the second variable, I think he's got just great energy, kind of like the Dr. Disrespect production quality aspect. You know, Dr. Disrespect obviously like really popularized this like ultra high production, multiple green screen background setups, playing a character. I see a lot of Peanut in Dr. Disrespect. Man, I can't believe what happened. Yeah, he's constantly keeping the vibe ultra high, changing scenes, changing graphics. He's got a montage everyone vibes to. Oh my gosh. I just remember me and my past partner, every single time the certain montage would come up, oh, we're singing along, you know, it's just a vibe, dude. I'm gonna speak a little more on this as well in a little bit, but third variable, he's got some good catchphrases, okay? And you might not think that's really that big of a deal, and maybe it's not, but a lot of these catchphrases are like really contagious, which is obviously it's fun for the viewer and fun for the person watching, but it literally can like spread through word of mouth. Viewers start saying it in their friend group, and then people in their friend group are like, bro, what are you saying? And then, you know, it spreads through the word of mouth and it spreads through memes. He's got a bunch of catchphrases that he literally just spams every single stream. So I think that's helping him. The fourth variable, I said it already, he's got great energy. He's always entertaining. He's always playing a bit, playing it up. Now, this can be pretty exhausting, honestly, to keep this high energy throughout an entire stream. I believe he like drinks every stream though, so that's probably helping for the time being. Think of how many streamers you watch that just go like minutes without saying anything. Like they're just sitting there playing their gameplay, no talking. People are commenting in the chat, completely ignore them. So dull, and especially on certain platforms, like if you're on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever, I mean, especially on YouTube, or you're watching on your phone, you know, any device or media where there's very, I guess you call it like, it's very slippery, right? There's very low friction for someone to just be like, all right, I'm bored, I'm gonna go watch something else. If they're on your TV and you're on Twitch, you throw them on the TV, you can kind of get away with, you know, not constantly being entertaining. But Peanut does not deal with that issue. He is constantly doing something, even when he's playing and he's not talking. Like just his Peanut character, like he just like hangs his mouth wide open, just like you know, like it's just funny to look at. So like even when he's not talking, it's still entertaining. He's also not afraid to just be himself. Even though he's playing a character, he doesn't hold back a lot of family-friendly jokes or anything of that sort. And I think a lot of people are really drawn to that in this current, age of content creation where everyone seems to be hyper sanitized, optimized perfectly for brand deals and sponsorships, and just making sure that they don't ruffle the feathers of any potential viewer. It's very fake nowadays, and people are just drawn to that authenticity. When I was watching him, bro was just constantly bringing up tentacle, you know what, and I'm just like, when's the last time I've heard a big streamer bring this shit up? But of course, with that, it does make you a bit of a polarizing figure in the space. I know a lot of people don't like Peanut. Oh, he's this, he's that. But to be honest, no matter how you are in the online space, at a certain size, you're gonna piss off a certain group of people. It is what it is. Might as well stay true to yourself and gain the audience of people you actually kind of fuck with, instead of this hyper sanitized PC audience that you always just gotta walk on eggshells with. I'm really trying to stay away from that the longer I'm in this content creation game, because it's very exhausting, honestly. The fifth variable is that he is very clippable. His streams are always producing a bunch of clips. I talked about this in my previous video where I talk about the entire strategy that all these big streamers are using to create a bunch of awesome clips, how to make your content clippable, all of that stuff. And this is just extremely important in the current social media meta, especially with his VTuber model. Again, this is another pro of using this peanut. It just looks hilarious. It adds a lot of physical comedy without having to actually do, extra work. And obviously, I actually forgot to include this as a variable, but his VTuber Peanut character adds to the purple cow factor. I always bring it up. It's extremely important. Like, just imagine you're scrolling on TikTok, whatever social media platform you use, and you see just an average streamer playing Arc Raiders or playing a video game. It all blends together unless, it's extremely extraordinary or whatever. But then you have this peanut playing with a bunch of big streamers. It's the purple cow. It's very unordinary. But like I said, I do see the VTuber model becoming more prevalent and more common. So I think the purple cow factor is going to diminish on this sort of thing. We're already seeing so many VTuber models and people just like copying the peanut. Now, the sixth variable is another concept you'll hear me bring up a lot, and is that he trend jacked. He took advantage of this massive new wave of popularity for the game Arc Raiders. It's blowing up, everyone's playing it, everyone's watching it, all the big content creators are playing it as well. And he really rode that wave and became the face of the Arc Raider streaming scene. I think this unquestionably is a massive variable, because if he, tried to start playing Fortnite or whatever, for example, if he started playing Valorant or Fortnite in its twilight years, you're not gonna get that massive push of people and awareness and the social media algorithms just kind of artificially pushing you, because you're not getting that massive push. And I think this has a lot of tie-overs to, again, early day Fortnite. People like Ninja, people like Tfue, people like Clix, even Ronaldo. These people would not be anywhere near their fame if it wasn't for the fact that they trend jacked and rode the wave of Fortnite. Because I don't know about you, I was heavy into H1Z1 before Fortnite. I love that game. That game was awesome. And Ninja and Tfue both were H1Z1 players. I know Ninja also came from the Halo scene. He was a pro Halo player. But undoubtedly, your success as a content creator when you're in the gaming space is heavily tied to the game that you're playing. So H1Z1 obviously didn't have the pull that Fortnite had, and so their viewership and audience reflected that. But when Fortnite had this huge surge, like one of the biggest we've ever seen in gaming, if you're the face of the game during that moment, you're eating good. Let's just leave it at that. You're gonna get a massive artificial boost, and that's exactly what Peanut did with Arc Raiders. But now something smart that he's doing is he is really diversifying his content, playing a bunch of different games, getting his audience used to him playing a bunch of different games. I think he kind of sees the Arc Raiders popularity dipping a little bit, so he's wanting to do that. But very smart to diversify your content in the gaming space. You do not want to be tied to one game, because you don't want to be a part of a sinking ship, and also just playing or being forced to play one game for years and years and years gets so stale, you get so burnt out. it's honestly just torture at a certain point, because we did see that with the big Fortnite streamers like Ninja. He didn't grasp or hold on to his popularity as well as he probably could have. People even like Myth, for instance. I think there's a lot of other nuance to those situations that I could make a whole video on. But I think clearly the main one with Ninja and Myth is a lot of their popularity was actually tied to the fact that they were extremely good at the game. They were the best players, so people, when they're getting into the game, they look to the best player, right? So if your popularity is heavily tied to your skill level in a game, you really want to diversify that as quickly as possible and have people watching you for actually you and your personality and, you know, those things that you bring to the table. So I don't think Peanut struggles with that or is going to struggle with that nearly as much. And it allows for him to cross-pollinate with other games much more easily, because if you're the Fortnite guy and people watch you just because of your skill, and then you go to a different game and you're not anywhere near as good at that game, there's no real reason to watch you apart from your personality. So because the personality was the main driving force behind Peanut, he's having a much easier time. Now the seventh variable, a lot of little minor things, but things that are still very important for your career as a streamer, is consistency, and more importantly, a consistent stream schedule. I think this is massively underrated. Even myself as a streamer, I just went live like whenever. it would roughly be around the same time, but I think having a set time when you go live and people understanding that is very beneficial, because I can think clearly of a streamer that I was watching in the past that we would throw on at nighttime because we always knew the exact time he was going to go live, and he was there on the dot every single time. So you're able to more easily build that habit and build that routine, and that's extremely important in social media and especially live streaming, building a routine around the viewing habits. So especially if you're live streaming pretty much every single day, that's going to give you a massive upper hand, the consistency to actually build that daily habit. People are creatures of habit, and you don't want to underestimate that at all. And a second thing that goes along with this, the consistent stream schedule, is the fact that Peanut streams solely at nighttime. So this is a very underrated aspect as well. Streaming at night or in the morning is infinitely better than streaming during the middle of the day or like extremely degen hours, like, you know, 3, 4 a.m. I think there are arguments for it, streaming at the degen hours, especially if you're starting out, because the competition is low. Way less people are streaming during those hours, so you can actually kind of beat out the competition just because there's not as much competition. So I think there is a case for that. But if you're pulling massive numbers and you're streaming at a prime time like nighttime, again, with the habit building, these are very powerful moments, because in the morning people are getting ready for work, they're getting ready for school, they're doing their morning routine. And a lot of people, because we're all addicted to our technology, we have to have something playing as we make coffee and, you know, brush our teeth and do all this stuff. Not me, I'm based, okay? No phone for the first hour, or at least no social media. But especially with nighttime, people are putting on something on the TV and then laying in bed and winding down and going to bed. So they always want something to have on the TV. And another reason the nighttime is doubly as good, is that a word, doubly? It's a word now. It's twice as good because not only do you have that habit of putting them on, but you also fall asleep. Okay, don't underestimate that. A lot of people have realized how important that is, because when you fall asleep, there's no chance of turning off the stream. So you essentially get a viewer who's gonna watch the entire thing no matter what, which is obviously gonna boost your numbers, boost your watch time, your watch percentage, all of these metrics that social media take into account and decide whether they wanna push your stream to more people. It's like honestly a cheat code. So yeah, that is also helping in his favor. Now, it also can't be understated that he has a massive network of big creators to play with. Everyone was hopping on Arc Raiders, so I mean, there's a lot of people to play with, but obviously networking is extremely important in live streaming and social media in general, especially live streaming though, because you can kind of cross-pollinate your audiences, you know? Yeah, that's pretty much everything I identified with Peanut's rise to fame. Those are the main reasons I think he did. If you think I missed anything, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed or found this helpful, and I'll see you in my next video.